Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick from Fit Futures here with yet another answer to yet another question. Or of course, it's more of a continuation. Quentin, you're finally going to have all the answers you need with respect to the planes of motion. For those of you that are just joining us, Quentin from Kawakawa Bay asked about the planes of motion and if there is an easier way to understand them and then how we can actually apply them in a gym setting. We've touched on the sagittal plane already. Now remember, that allows us to move forward and back, up and down. It allows us to perform activities that involve flexion and extension at various joints. The frontal plane, mime in a box, allows us to perform side-to-side motion, side gallops, karaoke, abduction and adduction with respect to the joint actions, typically at the shoulder and the hip. The transverse plane, simply put, is everything else. Okay? But what do I mean by everything else? Well, if you were to look at the diagram of the anatomical position, the plane of glass would dissect them horizontally. That means that they're split into top and bottom halves. This means that this plane encompasses rotational exercise. Okay? In addition to that, because it's also termed the horizontal plane, so transverse and horizontal, either term is fine, that means that it also is applicable for movements that are parallel to a horizon. So typical of a bench press, where the bench would act as the horizon and our arms would then become parallel to that horizon. Okay? But simply put, the transverse plane is everything else. We know how to characterize the sagittal plane. We know how to characterize the transverse plane. Everything that's left only has one category to fall into. That is why we would typically say that it encompasses everything else. Now, why is it important to understand and have an appreciation for this, for the different planes of motion? Well, we don't move one way. So I can't only move in the sagittal plane. I'm not restricted in real life. It's a theoretical concept. I can move however I please. Okay. However, in a gym setting, you'll probably find that we perform predominantly sagittal plane-based activities, such as running on a treadmill, such as the squats, such as deadlifts and things like that, leg presses. And we should perhaps be moving in all the different planes in order to not only fully encompass all the different types of movement that there are, but because that actually leads into more realistic movement based on life. We don't just walk in straight lines. Sometimes we need to turn, sometimes we need to step to the side, sometimes we need to bend down, maybe to pick up a grandchild. At some point we might hear somebody call our name. Dinner's on the table, great, you want to turn this way. Okay, if you're only training in the sagittal plane, then perhaps you won't have the capacity to be able to move in the other directions that you need to in order to live a good life, or your best life. So Quentin, I hope that answers your question, champ. There's plenty more where that came from, guys. Click the link for more, and if maybe you're thinking of a career change, if you're thinking personal training or fitness instruction might be for you, maybe come and sit along in one of our classrooms and we can tell you more. But until then, guys, keep well.